Unethical uses for ChatGPT when it comes to students, and ChatGPT says, yes, there are definitely unethical uses for me, but it doesn't come with it. You have to actually ask those questions.
Okay.
Right.
All
So
right.
there you go.
And I do know that
Pass it
some
along.
teachers do run, let's say, a student's essay through an AI detector.
Yeah, they've
so,
got the early students got the jump on it before the teachers got a hold of it.
Yeah.
Probably going on for a while.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Join us for Take Two coming up here in just a couple of minutes on Fox Local.
Welcome back. We get to go a little bit deeper into many of the stories you guys have been responding to throughout mornings on 2, starting at 4 a.m. Here we are at 10 o'clock. This is live, just so you know. We just wrapped up the 9, and a big focus all month long has been the weather.
Yeah.
It's been a much cooler than usual July. If we can kind of take a peek outside, we'll show you a number of pictures all around the bay. It's been grayer, cooler. We even saw just a little tiny bit of rain or sprinkles not too long ago. So first, we're starting you off with this beautiful, big, broad view of San Francisco, and of course, some puffy clouds there in the distance. More blue than we've seen in recent days for sure, but it is definitely a cooler than usual July all across the Bay Area. Many parts of the region experiencing temperatures more typical of spring or even early fall. We've seen highs consistently in the mid-60s to the low 70s. Switching the picture here again, we see kind of those grayish blue skies, and this picture is notable because we see a lot of that, you know, yellow, crispy hillside. It's the story pretty much wherever you look in the East Bay. Certainly every time I drive out on 580 and I see the hills in both directions, just, you know, yellow as far as the eye can see. So it's an atypical month.
But yeah, but I guess it's good because it is so dry that, and we didn't have that hot weather that we usually experience. Right. That it's better that it's kind of delaying the fire season.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Have we been helped by that fire season-wise?
I expect so. I mean, you know, I have to remind everybody, we did have a very brief, very limited public safety power shut off at PSPS, and that was because of high wind. And I remember when that happened, there were some communities, I think Clayton was one of the communities affected, just a handful of people had their power cut proactively by PG&E, and PG&E said it's not super hot, it's dry, but it's the wind that's the problem. And as you know, one quick spark, if it's picked up by the wind, it can cause disaster.
But you know, with those PSPS, the issues now, they are now able to narrow them down.
It's like surgical, whereas before it was
remember
just...
before when they started doing them? People were like, my refrigerator, everything's going bad because, you know, it's going off, and there was nothing in my area.
Yeah.
So I haven't heard those complaints.
I'm sure
in the last
PG&E took that to heart, right?
Oh, no, they did. Yeah. Oh, they did. So it's like very surgical, as Gassi mentioned, and highlighting the areas that they really need to affect, because they were just shutting it off for large swaths of people.
For days upon days.
Yes, yeah.
I think the longest PSPS restaurants, I think, we maybe had 3 days without power.
Oh, that's,
I was at my wit's end. I was spending way more time at work. I'm like, look, it's a functioning microwave. Here, let me charge my phone. So I was relying on this place even more than I usually do, just to kind of feel normal.
Yeah, so, you know, it looks like we're going to get a little bit, temperatures are going to get a little warmer. We're going to be in Castro Valley tomorrow, but usually at that time in the morning. Okay, so last zip trip, we were in San Bruno. I came out there with a big old coat.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And by 9:30, I was ready to take that coat off because it got warmer, which I did not expect because the sun didn't come out.
Right.
But that warmer weather moved in. So, but warmer weather is moving in, according to Steve Paulson, when we heard from him earlier, which is certainly some good news for folks who want to get outside and not have to wear so many pieces of clothing while on their hike up to Mission Peak or something like that.
Do you remember the summer of 1982 in San Francisco?
I do.
Okay, it was the coolest summer. This summer was the coolest on record since that summer in 82 in San Francisco.
82 was a big weather year in the Bay Area. Remember they had the floods? I wasn't working here.
I don't remember.
Well,
I was very young.
Maybe you were too.
Okay.
But, I do remember we had...
the floods where?
The floods in the North Bay that year. Yeah, it was super flooded.
Oh, interesting.
In fact, San Anselmo still has a line on the buildings from the 1982 flood where the San Anselmo Creek rose to, you know, super high heights.
Right.
And I remember because one of my teachers talked about it, like, for some reason he lived in Marin, even though I went to school in San Francisco. He says, gosh, you know, I'm being honest here. I'm worried about my house today in Marin County.
Wow.
Right. And that, as a child, that makes, not even a child, I was probably early teen, it made an impression on me.
Yeah. Well, I know it was New Year's Eve of 2005 into 2006, and San Anselmo flooded because I think of like Russian River parts to the north. And I remember in the aftermath of that talking to people who said, I remember when this happened.
Right.
And I guess they were talking about 82. So
yeah, just like the people remember 89 for obvious reasons. Some people remember 91. So 82 is there in Bay Area lore, so to speak. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
You like the cooler weather, though. So you're like, bring it. Let's just keep this going.
You know, although when I do, you know, visit back home in Jamaica or go to Florida, I because I know it's temporary, so it didn't bother me as much. Yeah. But when I lived there, I hated that heat and humidity with a passion.
Let me tell you guys,
I soak it up. I got the windows open. People are like, "Are you crazy? It's cold outside." I'm like, "Nope,
bring
totally
it."
Fine.
Let me tell you something. I just came back from Las Vegas for a trip with my girls. They were playing in a tournament, and it was 100 or 99 or 101 or 102, and there's nobody on the streets in Las Vegas. Right? No one's walking in that weather. Right. As a result, they don't build walkable cities in places like that.
Right?
In the desert. There's no, you know, here we take it for granted. The neighborhood I live in is very walkable. I'm sure yours is too, right?
You can eat outside. You can just, you know, have a coffee outside. They just we're built for outdoor living.
They don't have a lot of outdoor stuff built because it's just, you know, it's indoors and maybe sometimes outdoors at pools. But it's, if the weather is different in where you live, they build it for that.
You know, it's interesting now, though, that I will say this, since we're talking about hot temperatures down in Florida right now, they're seeing heat indices that they've never seen before. In triple digits. That did not happen when I was a kid down in Miami.
Is it combined heat and humidity that makes it so uncomfortable?
Yeah, and they have this heat index, what it feels like. And so, you know, Tampa, I think it was like 110. Wow. Miami was like 110, 115. So, I mean, those are just, we just never heard that. You know, the temperature didn't even go above 100 degrees. It never went up above 95 degrees. Right. But now that's changing. Yeah. And I can't even fathom. I mean, I think I've told this story before. You know, I'd have sunglasses in my car, like, you know, with metal, you know, kind of like yours, and I'd put them on and they'd burn the side of my face.
Oh, no.
They'd burn the side of my, this is a common thing. Touching your steering wheel because it was so hot was a common thing. So that's why I don't like the heat.
My wife is tired of hearing this, but every time we go somewhere like that and we come back, I say, well, see, that's why we pay so much to live here. She's all, you always say that, but it's true.
Did she grow up here in the Bay Area as well?
She did.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just tired of my dad's stories.
Oh, I see. I get that. I think so many of us who are fortunate to have grown up in the Bay Area, it wasn't until I left and I first started working in Yuma, Arizona. It's a little tiny desert town right up in the, You're talking about like 115, 116. It's right in the corner of California, Arizona, and Mexico. It's a desert town about 2.5 miles east of San Diego. And, you know, I drove out there for an interview in August, and I was like, what even is this? And I'm from Livermore. So for someone from Livermore to say it's way too hot, Yuma, Arizona has a totally different climate, and it's once I went away that I thought, boy, my parents did a great thing by raising us here in the Bay Area.
You also lived in the South, too, for a little bit.
I did. I lived and worked in Alabama.
How was that for you?
And
in
in
the weather?
Houston.
Yeah.
And it was miserable. The weather was rough. The weather was really rough. It was the humidity, which I never really experienced.
Yeah, because you don't have that in Yuma.
That heavy air feeling.
Really, when you walk outside, you feel it. Like you're enveloped in this layer, this thin layer of something.
Yes.
But it feels uncomfortable, and you have to constantly want to take a shower.
Yes.
Just to wash it off of your body.
Right.
Because it's everywhere. The sweat's just everywhere.
Oh.
So I was curious about that Birmingham. What was it? Huntsville.
Huntsville, Alabama, which is sort of in the top third of the state. I reported there for about 2 years, and then Houston.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. Houston, you could go from your air-conditioned car to your air-conditioned office to the air-conditioned restaurant.
That's what we do.
People plan their day around air conditioning.
That's how we do it.
Back in Yuma, I was making $15,000 a year, and I did not have money for air conditioning, and so my roommate and I would just kind of suffer, and we would plan all of our outdoor activities like before 6 a.m. or after 10 p.m. at night, and it was a mess.
My recent experience. I was just in Jamaica, and when I go, I stay at my aunt and uncle's house. They live in the hills above Kingston.
Okay.
And they have never had AC in their house, and so the houses are built so air can flow through it.
Okay.
But some days it is tough.
There's no breeze.
There's just no breeze, and I'm like, and they're older. I'm like, how do you guys live like this? But to them, it's not. You know,
they're like, this is no big deal.
Like, whatever, yeah, it's not a big deal. And technically, it really isn't. It doesn't last that long. And then you have the rain come through, and the rain brings this nice, cool breeze up into the hills. It feels really nice. But man, for those few hours, you're just like, oh my God.
You're like, get me back to Oakland. I hear you. I hear you. We're taking a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about real estate. 2 specific things we explored earlier on Mornings on 2. We'll go deeper into in just a second. By the way, you can comment live. Tell us what you like or don't like there. We're broadcasting this on KTVU's YouTube channel, so you can weigh in immediately as we see some of you are doing. So share your thoughts, and we'll be right back. Yep. Hey, welcome back. We are continuing on this theme of getting to go deeper into many of the stories you've been responding to throughout Mornings on 2. We love to talk about real estate. I would say we're not buying, selling, but we're always looking. Andre, you had a good interview here focused on the biggest city in the Bay Area. That is San Jose. I'll mention here, if you see this comment scrolling on the right-hand side of your screen, that's because this is up on KTVU's YouTube channel. So what you're seeing is happening live, and we get to respond to you either there on the YouTube page, or we'll do it this way. Tasha says happy birthday to her dear dad, Henry. So I wanted to get that shout out. Thanks, Tasha, for weighing in. So we focused on San Jose because that city was found to have the highest priced real estate in all national metro areas. And the woman you spoke with said there are a couple of reasons why.
There are a couple of reasons for that. People are moving back to the Bay Area, working in tech, and these tech companies, they pay great salaries. Now, the price that you will need to purchase a home in San Jose is around $400,000. That's not a small.
Wait, $400,000 as a
year,
down?
A year. No,
okay.
That's a salary that you would need.
Okay,
so
got it,
you have two people that work in tech. You can afford that. Although if you don't work in tech, that's always a concern. And so she's saying that it's this tech money. I mean, and these folks are you're either selling a house and taking that chunk of that money and putting down on a new house, or you're getting these stock options that you're using to purchase a home. And so this is contributing to the drive up in prices. Add to all of that, I mean, this is a confluence of different issues here. The issue of California being way under, the Bay Area being way under the number of homes that are available on the market. That drives up cost as well. She didn't say that, but that's something we've covered over the years here in the past. And this is a reason why Governor Newsom pushed through, that law and supported that law, which forced cities to come up with a way to expand the number of housing units in their cities. Either you come up with a plan or the state's going to enforce one up on you. So these are different pieces of the puzzle, but right now the overarching issue of the expense of the price, on 1.5 million is the average price of a house. 1.5, 1.7 million in San Jose is the fact that you have so much tech there. We spoke yesterday about the resurgence of AI companies now moving to the area, so you still have that coming in. So that is what's happening. Bidding wars are not as big or not as huge as they were back in the day, but still, for an upgraded home, she says, you might have to compete a little bit for those homes.
She said that some people are putting 40% down on the house, which
is like if it's $1.7 million.
That's $640,000.
That's a lot of money.
Or $650,000 or $600,000. So, pardon me. So, in that case, you don't have to make as much money. But
you just have to have a lot of money.
You have to have maybe like some people get a bonus, or they get help from their parents or something, and they can make less than what you have to make, which is $400,000 if you just want to go standard 20%.
Your standard 20%. But I mean, if you're making $150,000 a year, you definitely
it's
having $600,000 saved in your bank is definitely not something that you have.
She used a term that I hadn't heard before that I think is so appropriate to this conversation: the housing ladder. Right? Because do we have $600,000 sitting somewhere for a down payment on a 1.7 house? No, we don't. However, if you start small, if you buy the condo, have it for a few years, do some fix-ups, turn it around, buy a townhouse, and then a starter home. And so, I mean, she has, and that word housing ladder, just get in wherever you can.
That makes sense,
for the most part, your housing is going to appreciate, then you turn it over and sell, then you do a little better. So I think it's that ladder that so many people are fighting to get that first rung in their grips.
And I also want to point out that this is like the only area like it. Down in Florida in Cape Coral, which was a hot market during work from home, houses are staying on the market longer, prices are crumbling, it's becoming stagnant. It just never becomes that way here in the Bay Area and in many parts of California. It just doesn't. San Jose, San Francisco, I think then Los Angeles, in that order, is what's happening here. So while Florida was hot during work from home, I mean hot.
Right.
Miami, all that.
Right.
It doesn't ever stay that way. I've never seen a more stable increase in the housing market than I have seen here. And I've lived around the country, and I've seen here in California and in the Bay Area. It is incredible.
The only real sudden drop, and I've been back for 20 years now, was in 2008, 2009.
Well, that was everybody.
The collapse, the recession. And I remember in the Bay Area, you were talking to people, and I'll just bring in my own neighbors, they bought their house for, let's say, $700,000, and overnight it became worth half of that, right? So you have homes on your block selling for half of what you paid for your home not too long ago. But really, we still drive around and we say, boy, we should have bought here in 2009. We should have bought there in maybe we could have afforded it for a brief moment back in 2008,
That's what the realtor's saying, isn't that what she's saying? You just get in when you can.
Right.
But again, everything it all recovered, didn't it?
Oh, 100%.
So even if you're sitting under the water, the house that's underwater,
you're fine now.
You're still fine now.
Yeah.
If you just stick with it. And that comes with the issue of, we'll pardon me for a second, the higher interest rates right now that might be keeping people out of the market. Prices are low right now. I was looking at condos here, and the condo prices are dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Here in the Bay Area, in places that $100,000 to $300,000 more, it's less now. People are dropping prices like crazy.
You can't just be a real estate investor without doing your homework. You have to know what you're doing, or else you will lose money.
You'll lose money. But again, this area is just an area that is just different than the rest of the country. And even if it's a small, tiny little house in not a great neighborhood that you don't want to live in,
it's $750,000.
I popped in
value.
When I was in Las Vegas. I popped into a Walgreens, and the person behind the counter recognized me, but he's in Las Vegas. He said, "Well, what are you doing
It
here?"
happens to you all the time.
Well, but what are you doing in Las Vegas? He says, "Honestly, I couldn't afford to live in the Bay Area. I'm here. I was able to afford where I wanted to live." I didn't bring up that, how can you live here in the heat? I didn't want to say that to him, but
well,
he seemed
there's a balance, right? You say, well, I can afford to live here, so I'll put up.
Yeah, so Bay Area people have, left and found, he lived in Henderson, which is right next to Las Vegas, and he seemed happy, so good for him, right? That's what you have to do.
That's what you have to do, yeah. But so that's what's happening. But I always worry, and this is what I didn't get into this in the interview, but I always worry about someone that, let's say, you work at a school, you're a teacher, right? You work in maintenance at a school district or something like that. It's hard, and then you have to commute in from way out. Which seems a little strange. And then what happens? Is this entire massive city only filled with people that make a lot of money?
And then you don't have people who can, work at Walgreens.
Well, it takes them forever to get in. It pushes them further and further out, which is what I worry about. Like, what can you do to solve that issue?
Right. Well, there's been a lot of displacement. You look at where we are right here in Oakland, and there have been so many families who've been priced out of Oakland, many areas gentrified. And they say we had to pack it up and go out to Brentwood, out to Antioch. And so it's been it has really, not to use too strong a word, but it's fractured families, because imagine you used to live in a place where, your grandma went to school, your mom went to school, you went to school, that sort of thing. And then you're forced to move out because you can't keep paying.
Your grandma is down the street, you can take the kids over there to watch while you go to work, that type of thing. Becomes not as easy anymore. So that does stick in my mind. What is this just going to keep going like this? I know they're trying to build more housing, but it's just not at the scale, at the speed that will keep many people in their homes. Whatever. I'm off my soapbox.
All right. Well, we're going to take a super quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a big celebration that's happening in the city. We have a dear fan of the Grateful Dead, and we'll talk about the Dead and Company's final show that wasn't its final show. We'll get into it. Stay with us. We are focusing on what's happening in San Francisco this weekend. It's a 60th anniversary celebration of the Grateful Dead. The spin-off band Dead and Company is playing. They were supposed to have their final tour, their final shows as a band in 2023. We have a member of our KTVU newsroom here. Andy, you went to what was supposed to be the final show by Dead and Company. Are you going to this next final show this weekend?
So yeah, I did go in 2023. I am not going this weekend, but only because I am too cheap to pay that much for tickets. They were very expensive.
How much are they?
They were over $250 for a ticket.
Per ticket.
Per ticket.
Yeah.
And I couldn't rationalize that for, yes, it is. I can tell it's going to be an amazing show. They've got more than just the Dead Company. There's going to be Trey Anastasio Band. There's going to be Billy Strings is going to be there. And so it is something that interested me a lot.
Right.
But I couldn't rationalize spending that much for something. Also, that's not something that my wife would want to come with me to.
Oh,
so I'd be going by myself.
You don't have like friends that you just. You throw in with a bunch of guys and go over there.
That's what I did when I saw Dead and Company a couple years ago.
Okay, yeah.
I bought 2 tickets not knowing who was going to come with me. But those tickets were a little bit less expensive.
Okay.
That was at Oracle Park.
But this one is because it's its final tour.
Yeah, well, and because it's the 60th anniversary of the Grateful Dead, it's gotten a lot more attention. Prices have gone up. Yeah. There's more bands involved. And
the Polo Fields, right?
It is at the Polo Fields. It's the same stage where the main stage for Outside Lands is.
Okay.
And so 2 years ago, the way that they said it was the final tour, and now they say, well, we're not touring anymore, but we'll still play shows.
Are you irked by the semantics that are in play here?
A little bit, because I will say that part of the reason that I just bought the tickets for the Oracle Park show was I wanted to go, obviously, but I'm like, okay, this is my last chance.
Right. I'll pay the money.
Clearly it wasn't.
Right. I think other artists have done this, though, and I'm forgetting.
I'm trying to remember the names, though, but I could have sworn this has happened before, and then they go back out on tour again.
I mean, yesterday, my wife said to me, didn't Elton John retire? And I'm pretty sure. She's like, why is he playing a show tomorrow?
Yeah, I think it was Elton John. Remember the whole Goodbye Yellow Brick Road
thing? That's right,
thing?
yeah. But he's not the only one.
No, he's
definitely not.
More artists.
He's not.
And then more money comes about. They're like, someone dangles more money in front of them. We're like, oh, I can do it.
One more time.
Yeah.
Dead and Company played a residency at the Sphere last summer, and same thing. It's like the Sphere's like, hey, we'll give you a bunch of money. We'll get all these hippies to come to Vegas.
And you're like, well, what am I supposed to turn away money?
Yeah.
So let me ask you real quick, because we only have a minute or so left. The 60th anniversary of the Grateful Dead, San Francisco is rolling out the red carpet, the tie-dye carpet. They're hoping to lure Grateful Dead fans, tourists. What about locals? When's the last time you were in the Haight? Do you think you'll go?
I haven't been to the Haight in probably a couple years. Yeah. I grew up surrounded by the Grateful Dead because my whole family is a bunch of Deadheads.
Okay.
But I honestly, personally, am more into the music than the hippie culture.
Okay.
So I probably won't go to the city, but I probably will go on Sunday night. They're simulcasting the Sunday show in movie theaters.
Okay.
That's significantly less expensive. And I'm particularly cheap.
You're like $15, I can do that.
I can do that.
I like the way you roll.
Not so much.
What about you? Would you go explore the Haight, kind of kick around and see what's
what's going on? I have before. Yeah, but I mean, you hear
it's legendary.
It's a legendary area.
Right. And this weekend, I'm sure the vibe is going to be great.
It's going to be like
it's going to be a fun place.
Yeah, I may not go this weekend, but so we're doing.
You want to catch a contact?
Well,
I was going to say, you got to be sensitive to smells.
So I'm raising children in the Bay Area, and what I've realized that it's on my husband and I to make sure that they see these spots in the Bay Area that we like. Oh, that's a tourist spot. So we drove across we drove across the Golden Gate Bridge so the boys could experience that as teenagers. And to me, I'm like, oh, it's this bridge. I've seen it a bazillion times.
You not normally drive across?
It is very rare that we drive across. I live in the East Bay.
Right. That's true.
As an East Bay person, never.
But they loved it, and I thought this is exactly what we should be doing on just a free summer afternoon.
Go to the park there too.
Yeah. No, I mean it's like we live here.
From the Oakland Hills to Jack London Square, from the port to the Coliseum, this is Talk of the Town, an in-depth conversation about the people and issues important to Oakland.
Hello and welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm your host, Dave Clark. I'm giddily happy because my guest today is a very special guest. He's a good friend. In fact, I'm trying to rename myself.